All right, hello YouTube viewers. I'm Chris Rutledge with the Enfield Republican Town Committee. Before we get started, just want to remind you to click the subscribe and notification icons below. That way you can stay notified of any of the videos that come up on our channel. And today we are talking with State GOP Chairman J.R. Romano with our edition of Chairman's Chat. So how are you doing today, J.R.?
I'm doing well.
Good, good. So how long have you been chair of the party?
4 years.
4 years. And in that time, how would you say the party has evolved?
Well, one of the big things that we have really pushed is almost a modernization.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a couple things that have happened over the last few years within political mechanics. That's allowed for us to be better at identifying voters, tagging them in overall systems, digital marketing, understanding how social media platforms interact with us on a personal basis and a political basis. I mean, I'm actually, I think, one of the first state party chairmen in the country to have hired a full-time digital director. So those are some of the things that I think on the forefront that we've been in terms of state parties is pushing the envelope on digital. And even I had a conversation with the executive director of the North Carolina State Party, which is a big state. It's a targeted state. Everyone pays attention. We actually outraise them online. So he calls me. He's like, "How do you do this? How do you do that?" So, and I'm not saying per capita. I mean, in sheer dollars, we actually outperform many states online, which is pretty fascinating considering we're a blue state and a small state comparatively.
No, we do understand, digital can be a great way to, get the message out. What are, you focused a little bit on, digital there. We all know that can be a very cost-effective way of getting our message out. Can you elaborate, what are some of the things that, like, you and Patrice have done to expand our digital footprint, so to speak?
But working with local RTCs, since January, we've probably done over 100 training sessions. You've been in some of them. And trying to get RTCs to focus on the technology that's available to them to make them better at winning elections and understanding the value and what you can get from using these tools like MailChimp, Wufoo, which is a survey gatherer, social media. We know for a fact, when I took over as party chairman, the presence of Facebook pages for RTCs was almost negligible. There was not a lot. I think Enfield's someone that, when I first came on, took this, and I can remember Marianne Turner being like, I don't know, I got to talk to Chris Rutledge, right?
Yeah.
And so you guys over the last 4 years, I think, have really developed your social media presence and platform, and you haven't been alone. I think there's a couple other town committees that have kind of taken our guidance and advice and really maximized the social media presence. So that is one of those other things. So like how to use surveys, how to use local issues to gather information. It's been a really interesting experience to kind of educate and push some town committees away from their comfort zone, which is, well, we do newspaper advertising, or we don't do this, and really kind of challenge and push. It gets me in trouble sometimes, right? But that's the job, right? Is that you have to constantly push in order to try to make those gains.
We've seen a lot of stuff ever since November that State Party didn't do enough to take back Connecticut. I saw a lot of the work you guys put in. You guys were doing I can't even imagine the number of hours you guys put in, but some people out there might not get it, for lack of a better term. Can you maybe elaborate on just all the efforts you really put in, when you're looking at the statewide elections?
I'm glad you brought this up, Chris, because there's a massive misconception over what the state party can do. First and foremost, what I believe the state party should be doing is building the road. Right? We build this infrastructure, focus on, so for example, we have the walk app and the call system that I know you've utilized, right? So we pay for that system for candidates to use for free, essentially, right? The system's expensive,
yes,
but it's an apparatus of the infrastructure. But that, you bring a horse to water, you can't make them drink. So we provide all of these services for candidates that they can utilize. And I also don't think that the state party or the state party chairman should get in the business of telling you who your candidate should be. That's also some of a big conversation that's happened post 2018, where what we focus on and what we invested in, where we paid for, I think it was maybe 8 or 10 headquarters that we paid for campaign, not only the gubernatorial campaign, but Matt Corey, our U.S. Senate campaign, local state reps and state senators could utilize. So essentially, that money that they were not spending on a headquarters or a phone system or a data system, we covered the cost so that the campaign could focus their money on advertising, on things that was more directed towards their immediate needs. Every campaign needs phones. Every campaign needs headquarters. And so by paying for those things on a global structure like that, now a local campaign can use those resources that they would have spent on a mail piece, on paying for door knockers in a particular, that kind of thing. So that's one big thing. We also paid for the staff involved in doing all that. So a lot of people don't understand, there's a lot of rules involved with all this too, by the way. But paying for staff that oversees and recruits volunteers to be in these headquarters. I mean, even after election on 2018, which no one talks about this, we held a cash reserve to go to court. I had ready literally the next day to retain several lawyers because I knew we were going to have some close races, and so I had money set aside for something to do with the gubernatorial race if we needed to go to court there, and then I had some other money in case we needed to fight out a Senate race or a House race. So we were prepared.
And, talking also a little bit more about how we spend money, I saw a recent Facebook post from somebody who will remain nameless for the moment, talking about how the state party should be spending money on billboards and, so that everybody driving on 84 and 91 can see our messages. Do people really respond to that? What do you say to somebody that, just espouses that kind of information?
Well, here's the thing, Chris. You have not asked me this question. I want the viewers to know that I had no idea you were going to ask that question. I'm gonna put you on the spot, and I could be wrong here. You drove here today, right?
I did indeed.
Can you name a single billboard that you
I
saw?
cannot, because I pay attention to the road.
So that's problem number one, right?
Yeah.
Usually, and here's what the viewers need to understand. There's a science to a lot of this. But I'll never forget in this billboard argument, just for your viewers' edification, there was I had the same argument a couple years ago where someone says, well, billboards can have this massive impact. There was a billboard on 95 where they had a little cardboard cutout of a person sitting at the top of the billboard for dramatic effect, so people would look at it, and everyone was calling 911. It turned into this big news story. And I go, oh no, I saw that billboard, but let me ask you a question. What was the ad for? And the woman didn't remember what the ad was for. So this is one of those things where, frankly, what we should be spending money on is identifying voters on tolls.
So it really seems, like at a state party level, you folks do a great job. You set up the infrastructure. You've got to make sure that resources are available for the key races. But you also do a lot of work, with the data points, with the voter contacts. And, speaking of that as a last question here, we're going into, a lot of towns are going into their municipal cycles. What message do you have to not only the RTCs, but the people listening that don't like what's going on in the state? What would you like to say to them right now to try and get them more involved going in the years to come?
We have to get into the digital times. So that's number one, is that the party has all these tools available to local RTCs. It's not going to be perfect. It's not the perfect system, but it's a system that'll put you in a better position to take on Democrats. So that's one. The other is there's no cavalry coming to save you. The people that are going to save the state are the people who are in the RTC meetings. As Republicans, we love to romanticize about the founding of our country, and we think about how these men and women sacrificed and forged this country out of nothing through blood, sweat, and tears. It's on us. There's no cavalry coming to save us. There's no national entity that's coming to save us. The people who are going to save the state are the people in the RTC. We have to start working now if we want it to have continued success.
Well, JR, I want to just thank you very much for your time today. Hopefully we can talk again. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
Take care. Have a good day. We'll see you next time.